this day, Mission Sunday. And I'd like to thank Scott City Campus for joining us this morning. I'd like to talk a little bit about the trip we went on in May, June. It was a trip to Guatemala, 2019, of course. It was to San Francisco, Petén. Nazagol has been calling on my heart to promote sports to those that usually would not walk into the church. But seeing a soccer field, they would say, ooh, that's interesting. And also being an artificial soccer field, they're like, what is this all about? They come, they look through the fence and see what's going on here. They're having a tournament. How can I be a part of this? They start asking questions. They start talking to some of the youth, the pastor, the leaders there at the church. And they see, oh, I want to be a part of this. I want to be a part of this ministry. So that's the reason I've been called to this soccer field ministry, as well as to the youth and the children, the future of the church. This is the team that went with me. The one that took the picture is Pastora Rebecca. She is the one that promoted this whole ministry through Jason and Christian, the ones ahead of the Nazagol ministry. She's the one, she used to be the NYI district president. She felt a calling to be a pastor at another church. So she became the pastor, but this was her calling, to bring the team to go build a soccer field at her home church. This picture was taken before we took off from Garden. This is the team from Garden. This was a district trip, a district church. Melvin was in a hurry. He had to go take a vehicle to Cimarron. So as you notice his picture, his head's a little bigger than his body. It was cropped. I'm not going to say who the person is. I'm sure you probably know whose body that is. The reason I wanted to show this video is because they used this picture at district, and I got a laugh out of it, and nobody knew, but we kind of told M&I president that she used this picture and it was somebody else's body, and she got a giggle out of it. Okay, this is, I've been on multiple trips, on work and witness trips. Second one, leading the trip. This is the most welcoming church that I've ever had. The moment we stepped off that bus where we were staying the night, all the teens, all the church was there to welcome us with signs. And just think of it this way. The church where we were building the soccer field was about 45 minutes away. A lot of them don't have transportations, but they found a way to be there to support us, to say thank you for coming. The other picture, we went to Pastora Rebecca's church, and of course again for a service in the evening, the church was there to welcome us, to say thank you. Sarah Unruh, I will call them up here in a little bit, all of them, but here's some pictures of her being involved the days we worked there. And she was involved in multiple locations with building on the soccer field, helped out in the kitchen, helped out with the children. And through her heart and mind, I knew she has a calling for missions. But I don't know if she'll go on another work and witness. She might not. I'll let her explain that. Alexis, she's another person that went with us. She's a young teen, first trip. I don't know where her calling is, but I know she enjoyed it. She enjoyed the people, and she enjoyed hanging out with the other young teens and growing and serving. And there's not much I can say about Alexis, but she went with a willing heart to serve those down in Guatemala, and she showed it. Melvin, there's a picture with DS that was there. He did all the electrical work. We went down there, they asked, does anybody know how to do electrical work? I asked Melvin, yes, do you need me to do the electrical work? He said, I go, yes, I need you to do the electrical work. I think he started connecting it on the power box. He cut himself. He's a real easy bleeder, but we got it sustained. And also, there was a day there that it got real hot, and he kept working and working and working, and he kind of got a little dehydrated, so we had to take him back to the room to rest. The next day, he was up, ready to go again, and we thank him for that. Elisa Hinojos, my daughter, I'll let her explain what she's been called to, but it's been a true joy, especially for me, being passionate about missions and what she's been called to in missions, and I thank her for that. Here are some more pictures. The middle picture, we were going through the border. We flew into Belize, left through Belize. This picture wasn't supposed to be taken. It's a border crossing. There's no pictures to be taken, but somebody took it anyways. This is where we're going through the border. It was a struggle to get from Guatemala through Belize and vice versa, for the fact that there's been a lot of conflict between those two countries. And when they went to go pick us up in Belize to go to Guatemala, there was 2 buses. They didn't know how many buses they needed, how much equipment we had, but they went through 2 buses. They had a big issue. They had a couple hours, 2-3 hours, trying to cross with empty buses. The reason why is because the government wanted to know, the Belize government wanted to know, why are you going through our country with empty buses? They tried to explain that, and they said, well, no, you cannot cross. Why would you not bring no people to Belize? Why would you take people out of Belize to Guatemala? So, yeah, they had to pay a hefty kind of tax to get across, but thank the Lord, He made it possible to pick us up and bring us into Guatemala. It's a first-time learning experience to do that. I will not fly into Belize and go to Guatemala, I'll just fly into Guatemala and do all the traveling through there. Next picture. Teen time. These 3 were inseparable. Everything they did it together. They spent a lot of time fellowshipping with other teens there locally. 2 of them are from this church. The other one is Abby. She's Pastor Jeff's daughter from Derby First. And they had a wonderful time. So I encourage you, young youth, teens, children that are wanting to go, you're encouraged to grow like they have grown together. The team, these are pictures of the other members from the district that went with us. We had 17 people that went with us on this team, and I'm thankful for that. And got a lot of them I've served with before on other trips, and then there was new ones that I got to serve with them and grow with them in what is missions and what is being a Christian is. This is more pictures of other team members. The one in the middle is Eddie Fowler. A lot of you guys know him. A lot of them you don't. He used to be the work and witness coordinator for the district. My first trip was to Africa with him. He had called me. He had told me when that mission trip was over, I feel in my heart, and the Lord's telling me that you will take over this work and witness team in the future. I go, nah, that's not. I don't think so. That's not for me. So we took another trip, went to Honduras. Sure enough, he reminded me again, I think the Lord's calling you to be the work and witness coordinator. So I said, no, I don't think so. A couple months passed by after that trip, and I finally felt it, and I called him. The Lord, you're right, the Lord has called me to missions. And he goes, that's what I thought. So here I am, the work and witness coordinator, leading teams wherever the Lord calls us. Here's some other pictures of other team members. I put this sign up because there's so many towns around Flores Petén, and there's so many churches of the Nazarene. We got to visit not only the one where we built the soccer field, but 2 other Nazarene churches while we were there. And there was others that we drove by, but didn't get to visit. And then that's the work and witness bus that they have at the seminary in Guatemala City that they drove up to Petén so we could use. This church here was kind of built around the 1929 era. This organ was brought by the first missionaries into Guatemala. This is the second church in Guatemala. The first one was at Coban, Guatemala. The first building was built here on Flores, the island of Flores. And Pastor Rebecca told me that the missionaries first arrived in San Andres, kind of developed and built up the church, but there was no building yet there, so they ended up building the second church in Guatemala in Flores. Here we had a quick talk with the pastor of why he felt led to build a soccer field here in San Francisco Petén. And he told us his passion was to reach out to the teens and the youth in the future, and he thought this would be a good tool to use to inspire other teens and children to come and serve in his church. Some of the work pictures that we had, the left was when we were putting in the gravel, the right, the poles coming up, and then the soccer field being finished right there in the middle. We are one. The reason I put that up there was it's not about our team going down there and building the soccer field. We had to be one as a team with the locals. There was a day that we got to rest, travel. At night, they were trying to finish the soccer field. That told me they were sold to the soccer field. This is a lot of the work that they put in extra after hours to finish their soccer field. These are the two pastors, Pastor Rebecca, and I can't remember pastor's, I think it was Elias. Pastor Elias is the pastor of San Francisco. Rebecca was one of his leaders. She was called to San Andres, the church. So both pastors were presented with these soccer balls that the team usually signs and gives them a word of encouragement of our team to them to continue on doing what they're doing with the children and youth and their churches. We took what's called the Ark. It's the second one that was being taken to Central America. What it is, it's a structure, a building for church planning. We took about 9 packs total on the plane, and it's to build churches where they don't have churches, and they can use it throughout Central America or Guatemala for those reaching those that are lost in the community, in the church. And we had the opportunity to take this, so we took advantage of that and took it down there as well. At this time, I would like for those that went on this trip to come up here. Sarah, Alexis, Elisa, and Melvin. Okay, Melvin, question I'm going to ask you. What did you learn from this trip about going to San Francisco Petén that you did not know before?
Well, I was really encouraged when I saw all the people from the church that came and met us. They were involved, and then as we worked day after day, there were a lot of people from the church there were to help us, and that tells me that they have a vision to reach the lost, and that really thrilled me. And the other thing that really stood out to me as we visited the other churches, the number of young people that are becoming leaders in their churches there. And there's a bright future for the Church of the Nazarene in that part of the world because of all the young people that are being involved. And that's just a thrill. And then I was really thrilled with our young ladies here because they have beautiful smiles and because they worked hard and they pitched right in and did what needed to be done. And I was really thrilled to see that, to see not only the young people in Guatemala wanting to serve the Lord and do what's right, but our young people from Garden City.
Lisa, the question I have for you, after this being your second trip down in Central America, do you feel God's calling you somewhere? And if so, where to or what?
I feel like God's calling me to missions because, like, He spoke to me a lot, and He told me, like, you need to go serve. And my dad asked me when we went to El Salvador, he asked me, he was like, do you want to go? And I was like, no, I don't want to go. And then I heard him calling me, and then, like, I told my dad, and he was like, okay. And so, yeah.
Alexis, I had asked who would like to go down to Guatemala. You said you wanted to go. Did you feel a calling to go down there? Why, and have you found your calling?
At first, whenever you announced it, I didn't think anything of it, but then as weeks went on, I thought about it, and I could just hear God speaking to me and telling me that I need to go, and it'll impact me. And so ever since I went, God has really changed my life, and I will never forget that.
Okay. Sarah, this is the second time you've been part of a missions trip. The first time, you lived in Guatemala. You got to serve with those that came in from the United States to serve there with you. What was the difference between that trip, you being part of that, versus you going with the team from the United States down to Guatemala?
Can I say in Spanish and you translate for me? Because I don't have enough time and enough English neither.
Okay, go ahead.
Para mí la diferencia cuando estaba allá
The difference between when she was over there,
es esperar recibir.
it was to wait and receive.
Y cuando fui de aquí para allá,
When she went from here over there,
puedo dar,
she can give
compartir todo lo que Dios me ha dado.
give of what the Lord has given her.
And es mucho más confortante dar que recibir.
It's a lot fruitful to give than get.
For me, it was the best experience.
Okay, that was her best experience. Okay. Why do we give to missions? Nazarene Missions is funded through the generosity, sacrificial giving of people and churches throughout the world. We're part of the church. We're part of the missions. We're part of global. We give so teams like us, Working Witness, missionary speakers can come and talk at our church, as well as continue on speaking the word of God throughout the countries they're at. So when you give, you help missions out by supporting missionaries, supporting churches, structures, training facilities. As that's on the World Evangelism Fund, you give towards that. It's beyond your tithe. You give extra to help missions, for the word to spread to those that haven't been reached. As well as when you give, it gives here locally through the Wednesday night meals, bus ministry. You reach out to the people outside these doors in this church, as well as global. That's why you give to missions.